Marshall.
Well, thank you, Ranking Member Klobuchar, and thank you, Senator Bozeman, for allowing us to have this. But if you could just spare me a moment here, I got to clear my throat a little bit. There, I can speak better now. We all came to Congress with a reason, and I've sat down on my first day and had a list of 10 things I wanted to do when I got here. So, save the world, save Medicare, save Medicaid, balance the budget, and get whole milk back in school. So this is a great day for us to have a hearing on this, and I do appreciate the members of the Ag Committee coming here and having this discussion as well. I think about whole milk growing up, where my grandparents delivered milk to us 2 or 3 times a week, and it was just part of our diet, part of a healthy diet, and how important whole milk is. You think about the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement, it's about whole foods, and I think we could characterize whole milk as part of that MAHA movement as well. I think about the fat-soluble vitamins, which are so important, that we have to have some fat in our body to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. So maybe we'll just talk about, there's bad fats, there's good fats, and ask Dr. Studi a little bit about what are the good fats, what are the good things in whole milk that separate it from the 1% and the lesser fat parts of milk.
So first, I do want to note the dietary guidelines don't say that whole milk is a bad food to consume. There's nothing about the dietary guidelines. It does say that in general, considering what current consumptions are in the U.S., considering current health status of children and adolescents, generally, most children should increase consumption, and probably the best way to do that is through lower fat options. But for those who eat a healthy diet, for those who are active, as you mentioned, athletes, whole milk can be a great option. And so it really is thinking about the overall context of the diet, rather than kind of saying one food is good or bad. Dairy is a healthy choice, but it really matters what you're eating with that dairy.
Well, I'm going to just talk a little bit more about healthy fats. And some of the good things about these healthy fats is it helps with hormone production. So think about adolescents going through puberty, those types of things. So there's good fats that help with that hormone production. And also I think there's good studies that show that healthy fats also decrease your appetite for later, that it has some satiety impact. Would you agree or expand on those thoughts?
I am aware of that research. We haven't addressed it directly in the dietary guidelines, but it definitely, I'm aware of the research that you're referencing. So, yes. And
then you also would agree with me that whole milk has small amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, which support brain health and inflammation control as well.
Yes, the dietary guidelines actually recommend for those 1 to 2 years of age that plain whole milk be the type of dairy that is consumed because of the importance of whole milk to supporting brain development. And then after that point, the recommendation is to move towards lower fat. There's a bit of a evidence gap as to exactly when that transition to lower fat options might be most beneficial, but there's definitely benefits of plain whole milk, particularly in young children, to supporting brain development.
Well, association doesn't necessarily determine cause, but I think as we saw whole milk come off of the school lunch menus, we also saw consumption of milk come down consistently. So Senator Durbin makes a good point about, if it doesn't, it has to taste good. And then I don't know that I'm aware of any good studies either proving my point, but certainly it seems to me that whole milk tastes a whole lot better, and that we've seen milk consumption go down when whole milk was taken out of the school lunches. Would that be accurate?
I don't have data for specifically school meals and what has happened since, for example, the 2010, 2012, when it moved towards just low-fat and fat-free. But we do see that, as you mentioned, at the national level. We see that milk consumption really, drinking fluid milk started to decline in the early 2000s, and it has continued to decline. And I think it is, very concerning that current consumption in adolescents is about half a cup lower per day than it was 2 decades ago.
Great. Great. I want to make one more point. I was going to save this question for one of the other witnesses, but I still want to make the point about my concern about osteoporosis and osteopenia. That bone mass density peaks around age 28. And what we're seeing now is a generation of people reaching that age that didn't drink milk, and their bone mass, bone density is down a standard deviation. Maybe it's more than that. So while today most women start developing osteopenia, and when you reach that peak bone mass at age 28, the rest of our life, that aging process starts. It's really hard to build bone mass beyond then. So we're going to have women develop osteopenia, osteoporosis a decade sooner, and we're going to see men suddenly also have osteopenia as well. And one thing I can't believe I forgot to do was to thank Senator Welch for his leadership on this bill, Senator Fetterman, Gillibrand, Slotkin, King, McCormick, Grassley, Hyde-Smith, Risch, Crapo, Ernst, and Collins for help supporting this as well. So Senator Welch, especially thank you for your leadership. Vermont, known as a great milk state. So we'll have to come back later to catch the thoughts on osteopenia and porosis. I'm way past my time. So thank you, Ranking Member.